What if I told you that this supposed fix for your exhaustion is the real reason you're so tired? For years, I was stuck in a cycle I couldn't make sense of. I thought I needed this just to get through my day. I was tired, anxious, and my energy was on a terrifying roller coaster. Then I found out what they don't want you to know. The multi-billion-dollar energy drink industry isn't just selling a quick boost. They're selling the very fatigue they claim to solve. And I'm going to show you exactly how their entire business model relies on you staying tired. Section 1. My descent into the cycle. It all started innocently, as it always does. Like a lot of you, I was juggling work, life, and just trying to keep it all together. That 3 p.m. slump was my mortal enemy. An energy drink felt like a magic wand. Suddenly, the fog lifted, I could focus, and I felt unstoppable. But pretty soon, one wasn't enough. The boost that used to last for hours started to wear off faster and faster. And the crash that followed? It was brutal. It wasn't just a gentle dip in energy, it was a full-body shutdown. I was irritable, my head would pound, and the exhaustion was somehow deeper than before. The only thing that seemed to fix it was, you guessed it, another can. Before I knew it, I was completely dependent. I was drinking 2, sometimes 3 a day. My sleep was a joke. I'd lie in bed, my mind racing from all the caffeine, but my body felt like it had run a marathon. I was waking up more tired than when I went to bed, and the first thing I'd reach for was a can just to feel normal. I started getting heart palpitations and this constant, humming anxiety I couldn't shake. My entire life was dictated by the highs and lows from a 16-ounce can. I was living on borrowed energy, and the interest payment was my health. Section 2. The turning point. My wake-up call came during a routine doctor's visit. My blood pressure was high, and my doctor started asking about my lifestyle. When I admitted how many energy drinks I was downing, the look on his face said everything. He laid out the long-term risks: chronic anxiety, hypertension, a whole domino effect of health problems I was lining up for myself. That was it. I went home and fell down a research rabbit hole. I realized I wasn't just someone with bad self-control. I was a customer in a system designed to keep me hooked. That's when my personal problem turned into an investigation. I had to understand not just what these drinks did to me, but why they were made this way. And what I found was a pretty calculated strategy. Section 3. Deconstructing the energy illusion. To understand the con, you have to look inside the can. It's a chemical cocktail engineered for a very specific roller coaster effect. First up, the star of the show, caffeine. Energy drinks can have anywhere from 80 to over 300 milligrams of caffeine in a single can. Now, here's the trick. Caffeine doesn't create energy. It hijacks your brain. It works by blocking the adenosine receptors. Adenosine is the chemical that signals to your body when it's time to rest. As you go about your day, adenosine builds up, making you feel sleepy. Caffeine is like a bouncer at a club, physically blocking adenosine from doing its job, so your brain never gets the "I'm tired" message. But here's the catch. While caffeine is playing bouncer, your body is still making more and more adenosine. It's all just waiting in the background. When the caffeine finally wears off, that massive crowd of adenosine floods your receptors all at once. This is the crash. It's not just a return to your normal tiredness. It's a wave of exhaustion that hits you like a truck, making you feel way more tired than before you even had the drink. Next, we have sugar. A single 16-ounce can of a popular energy drink can pack a shocking amount of sugar, sometimes over 50 grams. This gives you a massive blood sugar spike, making you feel alert. But what goes up must come down. Your body pumps out insulin to handle that sugar bomb, which then causes your blood sugar to plummet. The result is a crash that leaves you irritable, foggy, and desperate for another quick hit. Finally, there's that mysterious, proprietary energy blend. This is where companies often tuck in other stimulants. Guarana. This is a plant that's a natural source of caffeine. In fact, its seeds can contain more caffeine by weight than coffee beans. It's often listed as an herbal ingredient, which means its caffeine content might not be included in the total caffeine count on the label, pumping up the stimulant load without you realizing it. Taurine. This amino acid has a complicated role. While some studies suggest taurine might actually reduce some of caffeine's negative side effects, other research raises concerns that the combination, especially in high doses, could increase the workload on your cardiovascular system. The long-term impact of this combination is still a subject of concern. B vitamins. Energy drinks are often loaded with B vitamins, sometimes thousands of times your recommended daily intake. Your body is essential for turning food into energy, but your body can only use so much. The rest is just flushed out. But with chronic high doses from daily drinking, there can be a risk of toxicity, especially if you have impaired kidney or liver function. This mix of caffeine, sugar, and stimulants doesn't create sustainable energy. It creates a volatile illusion of energy, with a guaranteed crash built right in. Section 4. The Crash for Cash Model. And this is where the real genius of the business lies. The fatigue you feel isn't a flaw in the product, it's a feature of the formula. The energy drink industry, now a global market worth over $82 billion, has built its success on this predictable cycle. They aren't necessarily trying to deliberately engineer a crash, but they market performance benefits with a formulation that inevitably leads to one. The repeat business comes from the crash. Think about it. When do you reach for an energy drink? Usually when you're already tired. Their marketing is brilliant. They sponsor extreme sports, gamers, and musicians, plastering their logos on everything associated with high-octane performance. Slogans like, "Gives you wings," promise you can break your limits. This forges a powerful psychological link. Feeling tired means you need their product. They've created a problem, a deep, looping fatigue, and positioned themselves as the only solution. They are monetizing your exhaustion. The more tired you become, the more you buy. It's a perfect feedback loop, and it's made these companies incredibly rich. If this cycle sounds at all familiar to you, hit that like button. It tells me I'm not the only one who got caught in this trap. And stick around, because what the science says about it is even more eye-opening. Section 5. The science they don't talk about. The industry loves to highlight the lack of long-term studies that prove definitive harm. For example, they'll point to something like the German Edker study, which looked at adolescents who were heavy energy drink users for over a year. The headline-worthy finding was no statistically significant cardiological changes in heart structure or blood pressure between the drinkers and a control group. That's the kind of result the industry loves. But you have to read the fine print. First, this was a study on teenagers over just 1 year. The researchers themselves noted that the adolescent cardiovascular system might just be adaptable enough to compensate for the negative effects, at least for a while, and that problems could still show up later in life. But even more importantly, the very same study reported something else that gets a lot less press. Almost half of the heavy consumers reported experiencing adverse effects. The most common issues were heart palpitations, rapid heartbeat, poor sleep, and chest tightness. Exactly the symptoms of the anxiety and fatigue cycle we've been talking about. So, while one set of tests didn't show permanent damage yet, the real-world experience of the users told a completely different story. They felt the negative effects. Their bodies were telling them something was wrong. These drinks mess with your sleep, spike your heart rate and blood pressure, and are linked to anxiety and mood swings. That temporary lift comes with a very real physiological price tag. Section 6. The Way Out. Reclaiming your real energy. Breaking free from this cycle was one of the toughest, but most rewarding, things I've ever done. That first week was hell. I had withdrawal headaches and felt like I was moving through quicksand. My body had completely forgotten how to function without artificial stimulation. But then, slowly, things started to get better. By the second week, I was actually sleeping through the night for the first time in years. That constant, gnawing anxiety started to disappear. My energy levels, instead of spiking and crashing, began to even out. It wasn't a jittery, fake high. It was a calm, steady energy that lasted all day. The solution isn't a new product. It's getting back to the basics of how our bodies actually work. First, hydration. A lot of the time, feeling tired is just your body screaming for water. Swapping energy drinks for water was a complete game changer. Second, nutrition. I stopped relying on sugar rushes and started eating balanced meals with protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs that give you slow release, steady energy. And third, the most important one, sleep. I made getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep my top priority. I let my body actually repair itself. Instead of masking my tiredness, I started listening to it. The difference was incredible. My focus was sharper than it ever was on an energy drink. My mood stabilized. I was saving hundreds of dollars a month. And most importantly, I was no longer a prisoner to a can. I was finally in control of my own energy again. The energy drink conspiracy isn't a bunch of guys in a dark room plotting against you. It's a business model hiding in plain sight. It's the intentional design of a product that creates the very problem it claims to fix. They have successfully sold us the idea that fatigue is our personal failure, and their can is the heroic solution, all while that can is what keeps the cycle of exhaustion going. They aren't selling you energy, they're renting it to you, and the interest rate is your health. You're not weak for feeling tired. Your body is sending you a perfectly natural signal. The most powerful thing you can do is to start listening to it instead of trying to silence it. True energy doesn't come from a can. It comes from taking care of yourself. I really want to hear from you. What's your experience been with energy drinks? Have you ever tried to quit? Share your story down in the comments. Let's talk about this. And if this video was helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next investigation into the secrets the food industry is trying to keep from you. Thanks for watching.